number one. All right, it's time to holler at your boy. Let's get to it. Marlo, what you got?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A? My question is, why do you keep taking pressure off Kevin Durant when he hasn't won a championship after joining Golden State? He still has yet to prove that he can win a championship on his own team. Get at me.
Well, let me get at you with this, Marlo. Why you keep putting pressure on Kevin Durant? What do you mean he hasn't won since he arrived at Golden State? I'm sorry, he did have a torn Achilles. He was out for 18 months until he came back last season, where he averaged nearly 27 a game, which, by the way, fits in with his career average of 27 a game. He's a two-time champion. He's a two-time NBA Finals MVP. He's one of the top 3 scorers, arguably, in the history of basketball. He balls. He doesn't engage in a bunch of load management. And on top of it all, he has a teammate in James Harden, who's been an electrifying star in this league for years, but has still never won a championship. So why should the pressure be on Kevin Durant when James Harden is his teammate looking for his first ever title? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Could it be that you're just sensitive because folks constantly demand of LeBron too? That would make sense. I get where you're coming from. But KD, even though he's got something to prove and the pressure is still on him, it ain't on him like it's on Harden. That's all I'm saying. Joey, what you got?
What's good, Stephen A, man? I just got one question. Who's a better duo? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown or Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo?
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's the answer to that question, bro. I loved Jimmy Butler. That's my brother right there. Bam Adebayo can ball. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are 2 young studs that can give you 23 to 25 a night in their sleep. They're younger, they're athletic, they play on both ends, they got fresher legs, they got more hops. At least in Jimmy Butler, they got perimeter games to go along with whatever else is in their offensive arsenal. That's the duo I'm going with. Miles, what you got for me?
Yo, what up, Stephen A? I got a quick question. Even though Damian Lillard might leave Portland, if he stays and with the current roster they have, I think that Chauncey Billups can make a big difference with this team, both offensively and defensively, such as making Nurkic a better center, getting Dame and CJ to buy in defensively, and with Norman Powell making him an actual threat as opposed to the last coach that they have. Even though they might not be favorites, I think they can make some noise in the West if they buy in with Chauncey Billups. Do you agree?
You're slick. Because what's your definition of noise? I mean, there's a lot of teams that made noise, okay? Utah made noise. They went home in the second round. Denver made noise. They went out in the second round. What are you talking about? That's number one. Number two, let me remind everybody, Damian Lillard, in all likelihood, is going to give Chauncey Billups that chance, wants to stay in Portland. But if by some happenstance he elects to leave, the Knicks definitely would be someplace he wants to land. I can't see that happening now that they got Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and those guys. So Philadelphia ultimately enters the equation because you're talking about Ben Simmons and what they're looking to do in terms of moving him and how that might fit. Ben Simmons might fit on a team with perimeter shooters around him. It remains to be seen. But Damian Lillard in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid, if he couldn't end up a Knick, that would be interesting. Either way you slice it, I think Chauncey Billups is an upgrade. Not to knock Terry Stotts. He knows what he's doing. He's a good coach. The problem is he's always been good, never great. And when you've been there that long, it was time for a change. So maybe a fresh look. In the case of Chauncey Billups, will do some things for the Blazers. We shall see. We shall see. I know I'm rooting for him. Jake, what you got for me?
All right, so a lot's been going on with free agency these past couple of weeks in the NBA. Obviously, teams like the Lakers, Knicks, Bulls have been making big moves. One also big move was the Wizards. Do you think it was a good idea for them to bring in KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie, all these guys? And do you think they'll be contenders next year in the Eastern Conference?
Hell no, not contenders. Let's not get beside ourselves here. I think they'll be a better team. I think that they'll be battling for a 7th or 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. Bradley Beal is a baller. I want his productivity to elevate in the fourth quarter at crunch time and stuff like that. But the brother just finished averaging 30. He's got some special skills, okay? And he wants to be in the nation's capital, at least for now. I think when you talk about KCP and you talk about Montrezl Harrell, all right, and along with KCP, obviously, I like what I'm seeing. And, of course, Kuzma, they got some additional bodies. Do they equal Russell Westbrook to some degree? No, because Russell Westbrook is a star. But the flip side is he ain't 3 bodies. He ain't 18 fouls, okay? And on top of it all, capable of combining to put up 30 to 40 a game. He's not those guys. And so because of that, I think the Wizards will be better, and they'll be a legitimate team to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, just as a lower seed instead of a higher seed, which means in all likelihood they'll go home in the first round, even though they're capable of upsetting somebody, all right? That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. I hope the nation's capital ain't mad at me for saying that. I do love Chocolate City. It's just that I don't see them being much better. Better, not much better. You feel what I'm saying?
The one and only Stephen A. Smith, Mr. Matt Barnes, NBA champ, and another NBA champ joining us from Houston, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. And guys, we got to talk Knicks while Stephen A. is still with them. So what do you expect from them in this free agency campaign?
Well, a couple of things. I think they should consider Spencer Dinwiddie.
Okay.
I think that's somebody that they should consider. He can ball. He's coming off an injured season. Remember, he only played 3 games last year, but the year before he averaged 20 and 6. We can't forget that. He can ball, and obviously he's looking for a better situation than he would have in Brooklyn because the big 3 is there. Secondly, do not give, and I don't like messing with people's money. I truly, truly do not. I want everybody to get paid.
Yep.
But Julius Randle is not a number 1 option.
Okay.
You want to give him a max, but it can't be an exorbitant max. The max now at about 106 to 110, that's where he got to be. About 25, 28 million a year. That's about right, okay? So let's make sure we do that. Outside of that, all you could do is pray, man. I mean, listen. Mitchell Robinson's coming back. Listen, Mitchell Robinson is going to be back. You got to re-up him. You got to re-up Julius Randle. If you can pull it off, you go out there and you get somebody like a Spencer Dinwiddie. You retain Derrick Rose.
Yeah, okay.
You retain Derrick Rose. And the only way you throw everything out is if Damian Lillard says, I want out of Portland, because I'm here to tell you. If Damian Lillard wants out of Portland, and I'm not sure he does yet, his number 1 choice is going to be the New York Knicks.
Ooh, really?
Heard it right here.
Ooh, inside scoop.
His number 1 choice is going to be the New York Knicks. Now, not over Portland. He's trying to stay there if it can work out. But if he decides to leave, I'm betting the house. It's the New York Knicks that he'll want to go to. Now, if you're the New York Knicks.
Couple houses.
Where's the camera?
Steve, there you go.
Leon Rose, Worldwide West, William Wesley, Scott Perry, Tom Thibodeau. I don't want to hear cap space and picks. You give Portland what the hell they asked for if Damian Lillard is available to come. And I don't know if he's going to do that. I don't know if he's going to demand that. I don't know if Neil O'Shea is going to capitulate.
Right.
But if that possibility is there, Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Scott Perry, Tom Thibodeau, you do what you got to do to get Damian.
Well, I'm going to ask you one question about, though, because your New York Knicks gave up a lot of the farm for Carmelo Anthony, remember, when it's possible they could have gotten him down the road in free agency, but they wanted to make sure they got him, and they gave up assets for him, and it made it a little harder for them and Melo to win.
Right.
So do you think that they should do the same if a Damian Lillard deal
But remember,
comes along?
one of the problems that they existed, they didn't have the cap space.
Yes.
So it was picks with no cap space.
Yes.
You got cap space now. You just be giving up some picks. Well, what the hell are you giving up picks for? To compete.
Yeah.
And so here you are in the first round.
You want him to give up players,
and
too.
LeBron and Miami and then win the Eastern Conference. You had Melo. Amari couldn't be healthy.
Yep.
You know, so that's what happened. This particular situation, yeah, you're going to have to give up a lot to get a Damian Lillard if it comes to that, and I'm not sure it will. But, my Lord, at 31, 32 years of age, the closing ability, nobody has hit more clutch shots. A point guard who can shoot like that in today's NBA game at Madison Square Garden. No, you do that. You do that.
Well, I don't want to take you off the Damian Lillard train, but I have to say, assuming that doesn't happen today.
No, it's not going to happen.
Or in the next couple days, what do you think about him saying, don't give the farm to Julius Randle?
Dame time in the Garden could be incredible.
credit.
It's hard to not think about that.
You know what's weird to me? I like Julius Randle. I agree. I think he's a great A-, maybe second option. And this team hasn't been very good for such a long time. And in previous years, you always hear a bunch of people, okay, we're going to go to the Knicks. Now that they've actually made the playoffs and starting to head in the right direction with Tom Thibodeau, you don't hear any stars trying to get to New York, so that's kind of interesting to me. But I think this may be a situation where they're going to have to get second-tier free agents, the second waiver free agents of Spencer Dinwiddie, some of these guys, and build with small pieces and continue to compete until maybe something happens where a superstar does want to come. So I don't really see a superstar making that jump outside of Dame. Stephen A's betting all his houses on it. But outside of that, like I said, I think it's going to be small pieces here and there, nothing that's really going to, make a huge splash, but small pieces continue to get better until to that one moment where they can go get a superstar.
We 100% agree. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You do those things.
Yeah, but you're just saying
if Dame, I'm not saying Damian Lillard's going to want to leave Portland. But if he wants to leave Portland, it's going to be the Knicks. And by the way, who ain't coming to New York to play with Damian
Absolutely.
Lillard?
I mean,
Absolutely.
Who ain't coming to New York to play with Damian Lillard? I ain't going to mention any names yet. But let me tell you something. I got about 5 of them. Who ain't going to come to New York to play with Damian Lillard?
It'll take that one domino, though. It'll take that first
I'm getting a little sweaty right now because I'm getting all excited. Oh, my Lord. Oh.
Can you feel, Stephen A., all the way from Houston, just this mere possibility of maybe, possibly?
Hey, Perk, that shirt brings your eyes out, by the way.
Well, Rachel, look, I had...
Yeah, those eyebrows. Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
You know, let the man talk about basketball.
Well, actually,
it's true, man. It's true.
Look. I'm telling you. Listen to this though. Damian Lillard to the Knicks helped the Knicks and the New York Knicks fan base, but it don't help Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard should be trying to go somewhere that could help him actually win a title. Now, Damian Lillard in Madison Square Garden, I agree, Stephen A. and Max is must see TV. But when you talk about the New York Knicks, right? You got Julius Randle, you have Derrick Rose, you have R.J. Barrett, and I agree with your point, Stephen A. Add a Spencer Dinwiddie, or maybe add a DeMar DeRozan to the mix. You continue to have your player development. You go get a Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy that actually could play off the ball, that you could play alongside Derrick Rose because he's a big guard, right? So he's a combo guard that can space the floor. He's great moving off the ball. He's a great defender, so he fits the culture of the New York Knicks. I just don't know if I'm a Knicks, if I'm in the front office of the New York Knicks, I give up so much to get Dame Lillard. And then what if you don't hit a home run and attract more superstars? Now you done gave up a lot of your young pieces to get Dame Lillard when he's standing in Madison Square Garden by himself with just you and Spike Lee.
I feel you on that, but let's pump the brakes here for a second.
I was going to say, the poor Portland fans are like, he hasn't gone anywhere yet. He hasn't asked for a trade.
I understand that, and I totally get it, but we're allowed to fantasize. We're allowed to fantasize. We in Tinseltown. This is Land of Dreams. Okay, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here, okay? And what I'm saying to you is this. Let's put the Knicks in its proper perspective.
Okay.
When you talk about young pieces, yeah, R.J. Barrett can ball, but he's not ambidextrous. Julius Randle can ball, but he's not ambidextrous. You had the Atlanta Hawks screaming, they're going left.
Yes.
They're going left. And where did they go? Left. Every time. So let's not act like the New York Knicks have stuff you simply can't give up. Oh, my God, you can't afford to do it. Certainly, if you can't get a mega star, then you build with what you have. But we also got to understand Brooklyn's right in town, all right? Less than 10 miles away. They got a big three. We all know if Kyrie Irving was healthy, okay, something different might have happened, all right? So we understand that. And if you're the New York Knicks, and you could put yourself in a position to compete box office-wise in terms of attracting folks, that's something you can't ignore.
Well, look, we saw the crowds outside the Garden with this lineup, with the group that they had. So I think the people of New York, and Stephen A., you know better than me, they are just waiting. They are waiting for a competitive team. and the fact that they made the playoffs.
Why don't you tell the truth, Rachel? You've been laughing at me for years.
I know.
You and Will Bond and have been laughing at me for years because of my Nick, how my Nick fandom.
I would
You
say
know
that
how
we've
they
been laughing
tortured me.
near you, not at you. And
It's okay.
The laughter has been at the way the organization had been run, which I know you
deserve it.
agree with
I
me
deserve
on,
it.
and that how it has been run so much better. Before we let you go, and Stephen A., I know you have to bolt, but campaign is another name that I've heard, and obviously had a bit of a revival in Phoenix.
I like campaign.
If it turns out that way.
I will tell you that he disappeared after game 2 against the Clippers when he dropped 37. Okay, I'm 29. I'm sorry, 29 and 9 and 37 minutes. He wasn't that person the rest of the playoffs, but he can play. I like his aggression. I like his passion. I like the counseling that he's received from CP3. My personal preference would be, however, a Spencer Dinwiddie. You know, over that.
It's going to be small pieces. Like, you're going to have to crawl before you can walk in this situation.
We've been crawling
for a long time.
Almost 50 years. You do know that, right?
But you guys are going to get up and run one of these days. But like I said, it's going to be small pieces till you get your chance for that.